Hey guys, men's dating coach Harry Wilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. And on today's show, we're going to be going over how to do a cold approach and more importantly, what to do after that cold approach. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when I post up new videos. So cold approaches. If you're an introvert, chances are this is probably your least favorite part of the dating game. The idea of having to walk up to somebody that you don't know and have no record of. And this can cause a lot of anxiety to bubble up because as introverts, we kind of like to know in advance the situation we're going into. This is why I really stress doing online dating because at least with online dating and phone app dating, you can see a person's profile and get an idea of what kind of things they're into, which then allows you to know what kind of openers to do when you're trying to reach out to them for the first time. So the idea of meeting people in person is not something I typically really preach to you guys. But with things starting to open back up, people are going out more, you yourself, even though you're an introvert, will probably be going out to clubs and stuff and probably meeting up with friends that you have met with in a long time and they're bringing new people into the fold. Some of them who will be women, and you may need to have the skill of being able to go up to somebody, talk to them, and get their number. But then even once you get that, what do you do afterwards to make sure you're going to actually keep them around and that they're going to want to talk to you? So I'm going to go over this guy's message because I thought it was really interesting to see how he did it. It was his first one that he ever did. He was kind of nervous. He did it. And I'm going to go through what he did right, what he could have done to better his chances, and then how to do the conversion afterwards of actually keeping in contact with them. As always, if you want to learn more of these skills, you can go to IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. Check out my ebooks, audiobooks, video courses, and freebies. You can go there for one-on-one coaching. And of course, if you like the stuff you hear on this show and you want to support, you can click on the tip jar tab to do just that. All right. So let's get into this guy's message. The title of it is First Cold Approach in a Long Time. He says, hey y'all, I decided to finally try cold approach since most of the time I would use dating apps, but I was tired of all the crap on those. By the way, if you want to avoid the crappier version of doing online dating and you want to learn how to do the real stuff that's going to get you actual results, you can go to my website and click on my Smart Digital Dating Program, which walks you through how to do all this stuff in the way that I did to be able to get successful dates with women that are high quality and to your liking, okay? But anyway, continuing on, he says, I am in college, about to graduate, and I was just walking around my campus before I started work. He says he works on campus. I saw this pretty girl sitting alone on her laptop, so I decided to just go up and say hi. I sat across from her and we chatted for about 5 minutes about school and classes. So I like the fact that this guy actually had the boldness to say, you know what, I'm going to try something different. It's a little out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to this girl looks pretty. And I know back in the day, I would beat myself up when I saw cute girls on campus that I wanted to talk to, but I got all up in my head about what am I going to say, how they're going to react to me, and I didn't do it. And those are girls that I passed them that could have, been great matches for me, but I just had so much nervousness. And a lot of that honestly comes from we as introverts, sometimes we don't do things because we think if we can't control how the thing is going to go or the interaction, that it might go in a bad way, and we don't want to risk that. And so you have to get out of your head this whole thing of having to do the perfect the perfect approach or saying the perfect thing to get the perfect reaction, because it's not going to be that way. But also, most women aren't going to just flat out reject you or call your names or ignore you if you approach them in the way this guy did. This guy walked up and just said, hey, how you doing? And then sat down and then started talking about things that ideally they had in common. They go to the same school. They probably have similar classes. They're able to talk about that stuff. And so when you do a cold approach, look for ways to be able to make that connection. One of the easiest ways, honestly, is to look at what's going on in the environment around her that you can make comments on, whether it's she's reading a book, she's got a dog with her, she's in a certain store looking at a certain kind of fruit or vegetable. You want to look for things that can help you facilitate a conversation. If there's nothing there, then you can try the tactic of going up to them and say, hey, I just wanted to, I'm trying to figure out some place to go. I'm looking for directions to this thing here or there. Or, hey, I got a quick question about something in the area. I've seen it where I've had guy friends of mine personally just walk up to women and their first thing is saying, hey, I don't want to interrupt your day. I just think that you're really attractive and beautiful and I would love to be able to connect with you. Can I get your number? And then they get the number. Why? Because how many women actually have men that are bold enough to go up to them and legit ask for the number? They have guys approaching them all day saying, hey, you're beautiful, this is that. But there's not a lot of guys that are going up and just outright asking for a phone number, a way to connect with her later. And so when a woman sees you do that, most women are going to be like, oh, that was so awesome of him to do that. Even if they're not feeling you, just the boldness of that move, at best, if they're not feeling you, they're not going to do a harsh rejection. They'll probably do something like, oh, I got a boyfriend, or, oh, I'm cool at this time, thanks, whatever. But they're not going to be like, oh, you asked me for a number, how dare you? And I think that's the fear that a lot of us introverts have, that we're going to get that kind of reaction, okay? And rarely will that ever happen, okay? So kudos to this guy for being able to actually do the approach. So continuing on, he said, I then told her I had to go to work, so I asked for the number, and she added it to my phone. So again, he asked for the number, he got it. You don't get numbers that you don't ask for, guys. He says, during the whole conversation, I was mad shaking because of my bad social anxiety and stuff, so I tried to hide that best as I could, but I'm sure she noticed. So yeah, this is honestly, this guy's in college, and he's probably in his he's about to graduate, so he's got to be 21, 22. When I was at that age, honestly, I still was that guy that was in my head thinking about, are women going to want to talk to me? Are women going to find me attractive or cute or funny or whatever? And so, yeah, you might be nervous when you start out. But understand, me at 22 versus me at 39 are two totally different people in terms of how anxious I get when the time comes to ask for a woman's number or to even talk to her, okay? But that happens eventually because you have to practice it. And a lot of things that you're nervous about now that you're not really good at or that you get anxious about, it really boils down to you haven't had enough practice doing that thing to be less anxious. Because what happens is when you first start out, you have all these ideas of what could possibly happen if you ask for the number and if she rejects you, whatever. But as you do it more and more, by the time you get to the 10th or 12th woman that you've done this to, it becomes more of these things where a lot of the behavior becomes surprisingly predictable. It becomes predictable in part because the other thing that happens is you are going to start building your own routine of how you ask for numbers. Perfect example. Mine typically is, I kind of do what this guy did. I go, hey, it's nice talking to you, I gotta go. And then I'll say, oh, real quick, let me get your number. And I'll just hand it to them. And I just assume by handing the phone to them that they're going to give me the number. And that's what usually ends up happening. But I've done that so many times now that it's no longer a thing I have to think about. It's just, I gotta go, oh, give me your number. Whereas when I first started doing it, it was like, okay, I gotta go, real quick, let me get your number. And how you present your request for a number is going to rub off on her and determine whether or not she's going to want to do it. So the more nervous you are about it, it can be a hindrance. So even if you're nervous in that first ask, you got to do it. You got to fight through it because as you do it more and more, you'll get less and less nervous and it'll become a thing where it's like second nature to you, okay? Anyway, so he did all that stuff good. He did great so far. So then he says, I felt so good after this. It wasn't nearly as bad as I played it out in my head. She was smiling basically the whole time, but I'm sure it was nervous smiling. So that's the thing too, guys. Don't project. He's projecting out that he was nervous, therefore her smile must have also been a nervous smile, okay? But that goes to show you that the energy you put out there is going to be the energy you get back. And also your perception of things is going to affect how you're perceiving her experience. So if you're perceiving yourself as, oh, I'm nervous, therefore she must also be nervous, all you're going to look for is signs that indicate that she must be nervous when that could be not the truth at all. It could be true or it could not be true, okay? But either way, he got the number, so it couldn't have been that bad even if she was nervous, So then he says, he got the number, she was smiling. Then I then texted her about 15 minutes later, but she hasn't responded, and now it's been 40 minutes. I'm not all that worried because honestly, I know nothing is going to happen most of the time with cold approaching, but it's definitely a good first step. Then he says, I want to share my experience. If anybody has any tips about what to talk about with girls you cold approach, I'm all for it because it got a little awkward. Okay, this is the mistake that both introverts and guys in general make when they do cold approaching, is they cold approach. They actually have an interaction with the woman, they get the number, and then they assume that in order to keep her interest, they need to contact her right away, either to give her his number or to say, hey, I had a good time talking to you, or try to just continue a conversation even though they're now away from each other, okay? There was a time a few years ago when I was an Uber driver, and it was like midnight. And I had to pick up these two women from a party. It was like two women and a guy. It was two women and a guy. And I remember they were in the car, and in the course of that, I had to drop the guy off first. So as we're getting to his stop, he asked one of the girls for her number. And they'd been having a good conversation. It felt like there was kind of a good convo going. So she obliged him. And so she gave him the number, and then he got out of the car and left. So I'm now in the car with these two women, and I'm driving them to their stop, which is about 20 minutes away. And as I'm driving, I hear the conversation the two girls are having, like, oh, he was kind of cute, and oh yeah, I hope he reached out to me sometime, and blah, 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 blah. And she's giving this guy like rave reviews, like talking about he's such a great guy, we had a good time at the party, yada, yada, this, and that. About like 3 minutes into that combo though, her phone blows up. And it's the guy texting her and texting her and texting her again. And at this point now, the woman goes from being excited about this guy and hyping him up and saying this guy was awesome to me like, oh, he's texting me. Oh my God, he's doing it again. Oh my God, I just met this guy. Like, why is he texting me so much? Like, geez, wait till morning time. And at that point, she was no longer interested in the guy. Now this guy is going to be confused because he's wondering, well, I got the number. Why didn't she want to respond back? Why is she suddenly not responding anymore? What's going on? And what you need to realize, guys, is that when those kind of interactions happen, yes, in the moment, it was great. She had a good convo with you. She enjoyed talking to you. But you can't assume that just because she gave you the number, that means you are now allowed to just text her all the time. Women need time away from you in order to really establish a strong like for you. And so what that means is that there's going to be times when you're thinking that it's okay to contact her because you got the cold approach and it was all good, but she actually needs to not hear from you right away. For one, she doesn't know you, so texting her like that, you're already putting things on her that indicate she has to interact with you at a certain height and regularity that she's not quite ready for. And also it comes off as creepy behavior. I just did an episode about that, about things that are creepy behavior. You texting a woman 15 minutes after you met her and trying to continue a convo is not what you want to do. What you want to do is this. You want to be able to get the number, go away for a couple of days, and then when you do contact her, that first contact should be about getting a date of some kind. That way, she already knows from jump that your goal of meeting up with her and getting her number was to try to take her out. It's better to establish that early on than to try to fake the funk or try to do extended conversations hoping it's going to build up her interest, because it's not. So hopefully that gives you some better insight into what to do when you do your cold approaches. This guy did an overall great job, but his follow-up could actually potentially hurt his chances if he's already trying to do the whole texting thing too soon. And for you guys that are confused about how to text when you do get a woman's number, I got a whole book on my website called Text Messaging Like a Boss. It gives you 21 do's and don'ts of how to connect with women on phone apps in general and text and stuff like that, because it really can be detrimental to your game. You can meet a woman that would legit go out with you and has high interest in you, and you could ruin it by texting her too soon and texting her too much and trying to build rapport and do all these things on a texting app. So don't do that, okay? Go out, get the numbers, and then wait a couple days to give them time to think about their interaction, have time to talk to girlfriends about, oh my God, this guy came up to me and he was really, really cute, and oh my God, I hope he calls. You want a woman to be wanting you to call. Okay, that's the goal here. So if you let it wait a few days, and again, I'm doing this talking to you guys from experience where I have met women at parties, at various other events where I get the number, I wait a couple of days, I hit her up, we go out, we have a good time, we go out some more, we have hookups, it is what it is, okay? But I get those results because I'm patient in how I'm contacting her and when I'm contacting her. You do the same thing, you'll get better results. Try it out, you won't regret it. Thank you for watching this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this episode and catch new episodes right here on YouTube or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out these other episodes so you too can learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.